Hello, everyone. We are welcome to the 16th class out of 16 classes, the very last class. I'm excited to be here, and I'm glad you are excited to have watched all the videos and then this very last one. You're welcome to this class in which we'll be having a quick revision and then discussing on what is next. Thank you for joining me. Let me go straight into my slides to share with you what I have today. Okay, nice. So we've discussed a lot about data analytics, the buzzwords, the concepts, the terms, and I'm sure by now you're much more confident on what data analytics is all about and all the related fields in data analytics. I also believe that you're also much more confident in applying data analytics to your various domain research or whatever it is that interests you about data, and whatever it is that also interested you in registering for this course. Okay, so so far we have been able to achieve our training objectives, which is general knowledge on data analytics, understanding data analytics in various fields or domain, then acquiring basic technical background knowledge and skills in data analytics. Then today we'll also talk briefly on this part, understanding your interest in further pursuit of domain-specific data analytics career, though we have talked about it also somehow at the beginning of the course, right? So discussing on what is next for continuity, I'm going to share with you, I'm going to start off first with a revision on a kaggle dataset competition, right, which is one of the legendary competition sites and a very popular competition for starting off in data science. Then I'm going to be discussing on what is next for you to ensure continuity in all that you have learned in this course, getting on competition sites, getting on some data sites as well that contains clean data for that could be specific to your domain and in various industries. Then the need to get certified and follow a systematic career path that will land you your interest, your career interest job, or the interest you have in data science, AI, and the field of data analytics. Then, yeah, basically how to get in touch after now. Okay, so let me do a full, should I do a full screen now? No, I won't do a full screen now because, okay, let me do a full screen. Okay, right, so this is our content for today's course. Right, so I said we'll be looking at Titanic competition on kaggle. So to get on kaggle is simply going straight to www.kaggle.com. Okay, let me go to that site. Let me show us. Okay, I'm sharing my screen. Okay, right. So to get on Kaggle, it's just simply to do www.kaggle.com. It requires login, so you need to log in to get registered on that site. I'm already registered on that site. That's why you can see my name. So that's that for Kaggle. Then for this particular competition, I already, okay, I think I should show you how to download it. So from competitions, you can search for the competition you're interested in. So for this particular one, or we can even go straight to the competition by doing kaggle plus titanic. So it takes us straight to the competition. Right. So whenever you land on the competition page, it's always very good that you read an overview of what the competition is about. Many of these competitions.
Sorry, Ma, we can't see your screen.
Oops. Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay. What about now? Okay, I believe you can see my screen now. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So I'm already on the competition page. What I did was just to do a quick search on cargo and Titanic competition. So this is always a good starting competition for anyone who wants to do real dirty data, because the data does not come clean like you find in some other data sites. Then I said, whenever you come to the competition page, it's always good you read about the overview. Then for you to get the data, just come to data. Data would usually come in two forms: training set and test set. So you need to download both of them. I'm going to explain to you how to use training and test sets. Then under code, you can see similar codes that other people have submitted for the competition. So you can gain some knowledge from here as well. Then under discussion, you can click on discussions to see what people are talking about the competitions, like a forum. You can also ask questions here. Then leaderboard generally would show you ranking of people who have made submissions in the competition. So you have public leaderboard and private leaderboard. The difference is that after the competition is done and it is checked against some other new data, there is a re-ranking that is done. So when the competition is over and a re-ranking done, the winners and the ranking for the winners appear in the private leaderboard. Then there are some general rules about competitions that you might need to check up from the rules menu. Then in a competition, you can form a team, right? So you can apply into a competition as a team. That you are not the only one. You have a team name and you have people within your team. So getting on competition sites is always an interesting way to own your skills in data science, and helps you to learn as well. Very, very good resource to learn. Then many of them as well come with paid rewards. So when the competition is over and it is ranked, the first three winners, or depending on what the ranking or the awards are, get prizes, and these prizes get paid, most times even in dollars, right? So, but most importantly, the main experience is to learn. So that's on Kaggle. So like I said, I downloaded the data already. I have it in my downloads. So yesterday we worked on a different competition on Kaggle as well, which was data on predicting house prices, right? And that was on simple regression. Today we are working on data on predicting classification and using Titanic data. So this is Titanic data. This is what was downloaded from that site. So you have test, you have train, you have gender submission. This gender submission simply means that this is what your submission file to the competition should look like. So your submission file should tell us the passengers in the test in the test file and classification whether they survived or not. The test file is always containing new data sets, right? So let me come back here. Okay, right. So you can see we have 3 files here. The train will contain historical data of people that were gathered. Then test will contain new data sets. So if I open test for you now, so you can see you have same passenger IDs that are in your submission file, and then you have their related information, and you are asked, and then you won't have the what's it called? The dependent variable. Oops, where are you? Okay. So I'm going to open all 3 files so that you can see the difference. Open up. Let me increase this. Right, so this is the train data. In the train data, you have passenger IDs, right? Meaning that these are passengers in the Titanic ship. This competition is actually mimicking the Titanic story, the Titanic ship story. So it says that there were, so if you read the overviews, it will be clearer to you. So it says that there were 891 passengers. Then this is the classification of people who survived or not, and these are their characteristics. So if you take the overview, you know the meaning of these various characteristics in there, and then you can see that there are some missing data, right? In cabin, you can see there are some missing data as well. So this is a simple, like near to real life data. So this is train data set will always contain your dependent variable. In this case, the variable you are trying to predict, which is survived, is your dependent variable. So your test set will not, okay, so this is test. So your test set, as you can see, will not contain, it will not contain your dependent variable. You can see it doesn't contain survived. So you have passenger, you have other characteristics, but you are now to tell us whether they survived or not. So you can see passenger ID starting from 92 downwards, 892 downwards. And you can see that in your submission, you will have it similar as that. Okay, so that's that on the explanation of the data we have downloaded. Now let's go to okay, sorry, my screen was freezing, so I needed to stop share. I'm going to share it again. So now let's go to the Python file for which we worked on the data set. Okay, so to save time, what I've done is to have worked on the Python file before the class. So I'm just going to run through each of the cells and I'm going to explain what we're doing. Right, so let me see if I can expand this. Okay, fine. Right. Okay, beautiful. So this is our Jupyter notebook for which we want to work on the Titanic data sets that we have downloaded from the Titanic competition. I would advise that you also try to do a simple project on data analytics, maybe with your own data or some data from competition sites or from some other sites. Data is no longer an excuse, there's data everywhere. It's left for everyone to own their skills in um, applying the knowledge of analytics to data. Right, so I want to start all over again. So I'm going to just restart my kernel and clear output. Right. Okay, so this is as if I'm starting all over again. Okay, so remember I said that for everything you do in Python, you always need a library. Getting on Python for data science projects is always like you writing procedural scripts. So you're just writing lines of code. You are not really developing classes or objects. You are just writing simple lines of codes and checking what those lines of codes are doing on your data, right? So you only need to know the functions that you need to know the package that contains the function you will need to apply. And then, of course, you need to have a step through logic of how you want to work on your data. Then 80% of the work done in data analytics projects in creating insights is most times on cleaning the data or getting the data ready for the model. For you to apply a model on your cleaned data set, it's just for you to call the package containing the model algorithm and fit on your data. So I'm going to show that to us now. So definitely, we always need the pandas library. The pandas library is about the most common library in Python. You use it for all sorts of Python projects. It contains the function with which you read files or read data. So I need to run this. Just in case you have an error for importing any library, then you need to check if it is installed or if correctly installed. And definitely to install, you just use the install command. That's also a very, very common um, that's also a very common function in Python. So if you're doing pip install from notebook, you need to use the exclamation mark before pip install. I'm going to put comments on my cells so that when you have the notebook, it will be easier for you to read. And for you to put comment, you just use the hash sign. So this cell is to install and import my packages. Packages is also same as library. I think I should import all together in the same cell. So let me take this out and just rerun this again. Okay, so while that is running, I'm going to put a comment on the second page, second cell. So this is to simply to read my data file. So I'm going to read my training data file into a variable. Of course, you can call your variable anything, any name. So this is just reading it into a variable, and because this is a data frame, this would also automatically become a data frame. So let's read the file. Remember, if you're specifying the long path name of your file, you need to put the arrow and exclamation sign before it. So now let's see what our file looks like by just running the .info on our data frame. So you can see your file contains these columns. Now, this not null information, right, also needs to be carefully observed. So you can see it says passenger's ID 891 not null. I mean, non-null, right? But if you look at age, you see 714 non-null, meaning that the remaining values, the remaining values in age are null. So you have a couple of nulls here. You also have a couple of null in cabin column and 2 nulls in embark column, right? Then you also need to observe the column type. You have integer. Objects are usually your string types. Then you have floats and integer. So it's always good to observe that so that when checking up on your data. So now let's see what our data looks like. We want to see first few records in our data. So on our data frame, we're just going to run add, right? And then let's run, and you can see what the data looks like. We already saw that in Excel, right? So for cabin that has not null, you can see that has null values. You can see the NaN. So NaN simply means null values. Then, okay, I don't need this here. Okay, let me leave this here so that you can know, but I'm not going to use it. This would, remember in our last class, we talked about importing data from SQL database. So in case you want to bring your data, in case your data is available in SQL database, you can bring it in using using this command, right? But we already brought our data in from CSV, so we are not going to run this command. So I'm going to comment it out, but I'm going to leave it in the notebook for your reference. Import data from SQL database. Right. For other forms of databases, you have their connections as well. You have their connections as well. You have their library as well for their connection type. So you need to check that up on Google if you are connecting from Oracle or from MySQL. Okay, thanks for the note. NaN simply means not a number. And in this case also, it also translates to null value. So null is not a number. Then I'm going to jump off from these points because I'm not bringing it from okay, so let's come here. So, right. So what we are interested in now is to see our data values and, sorry, Titanic data, okay. Sorry, just a second. I think I need to confirm the, okay. Okay, let's jump into this cell. Those were some of the things from yesterday's class. So let's see the information on our data set, which we already have. Now let's observe the columns. Right, to observe our columns, we sometimes need to check each of the columns and see what is unique about them. So for the passenger ID column, it's just simply containing unique values like to uniquely identify the passenger. So there might really be no insight in that. Then for the survived column, we might just want to check, okay, what is the classification type of our survived? So to do that, you are just going to run like distinct values, distinct clause on your values. So we have our data frame, and then we say, okay, give me this column survived. Since we are using the column name, we have to put it in quotes, right? Then on this column name, we want to know the unique values in it. So you just use the unique clause. So once I run this, you can see it's telling me that I have 0 and 1. So survived values are 0 and 1, and there's no null value in survived, right? Everything is complete. Then for P class as well, there's no null value in it. It's also an integer type. So we might want to also observe P class to say, okay, let's see the kind of data that is in P class. Okay, so P class as well contains just 3 unique values, even though it's declared as an integer, but it contains 3 unique values. Let's see another type of integer class like this. Okay, let's just take it one after the other. So name as well is just uniquely identifying each person. So there's really nothing to check about name. So let's check sex. You need to sometimes check each of these columns one by one, because sometimes you might have inconsistent unique values in a data column. For instance, now in your sex, what if you have a value that you cannot identify clearly as sex? Like generally you should have male or female, right? Okay, so this is fine, you have male or female, but in some data sets, you can have inconsistent values, and then you need to clean that up, right? So we need to always check each of the variables one after the other, but I've done my checks already, and most of the data is fine. So I'm just going to go to the columns that we need to clean. So, okay, let's check on age so that I can show you the cleaning I did on age. So to do on age as well, you just put in here, you can start with unique values to say, okay, right, so age has many unique values, right? So you can as well see that you have ages in floating values, 0.83, 32.5, 70.5, 0.42. So this 0.42 means that the passenger is not even up to a year old, right? 0.67, passenger is not even up to a year old, right? So you might want to, then you also have null values, right? You can see. So you would need to clean up on age column, and I'm going to show you how I cleaned up on that in Python. So now that I can see the unique value on age, another thing that would interest me to know as well is, okay, what's the range of my age? So there's really no range function, but you are going to use the max and min function. So because I want everything at once, I can do print max age is, so just give it to me at once. Max So I'm going to use the max and min function to get my age range. So if I run this now, right, so my maximum age is 80, my minimum age is 0.42. As an analytics person, I don't like to work with ages that are in decimal figures, so I would like to round my age into integers. So I'm just going to use the round clause. So I'm going to put that in the next cell. So of course, to change the values into the new values, you need to assign your new request into the same column. So if I do this, it's going to change everything I have in age into this place. So I'll say everything in age, round it up. So if I run this now and I check on my min and max age, then I should have something much more interesting. Okay, right. So this has been rounded up. I have 80, I have 0 age. Okay, so that's that on age. Now I also need to check for the null values in age. And to do that, I would just simply run this function. I would explain the function to you. So let me build this function. So when you want to do filtering on data sets or data frame in Python, you need to do that using a Boolean. So a Boolean relationship simply means you need to first of all evaluate yes or no. So let's say we already know how to get our columns, right? So on age now, you want to know, tell me whether is null or having value. So I'm going to use on this column age, I'll say is null. So is null we evaluate as yes or no. For me, you to confirm that, let's just run that. Okay, so it's giving us values that are no, it should give me a Boolean value. Sorry, something's missing. Right, so this is the right way to write the function. So it will evaluate as yes or no. So for you to do the proper filtering, you need to put this as an evaluation on your data set to say, okay, evaluate this for either false or true, right? And give me the corresponding values on my Titanic data set. So this is how to specify it, right? So you specify your filtering in the block bracket within, right? And then if I want just age column, I can, okay, if we do this now, it will give us filtering on the data set. Now, if I want just age alone, I'm going to have to add to specify, give me on age alone, right? So you can see, so this is how to evaluate in or do filtering in Python. It's a bit tricky, but once you learn the trick, you would be fine with it. Okay, so now that we know that there are missing values in age, right? We want to see also some statistical steps to know how to replace our missing values. So we just don't want to replace our missing value with any value, but let's look at the normalization of that particular column and see how it is balanced or how it is skewed before we then replace our missing value. So to do that, I'm going to first of all sort my values using this line of code. So this requires the NumPy array. So this NP is actually coming from a NumPy array. NumPy array generally works on data as an array. So these are my ages. So I have just 0 age, then I have many other 1 year old and the rest of that. Remember, I already rounded up my age to integer value. So you can see the integer values of the ages of my passenger, right? So this is sorted. So I want to actually use this to plot a normalization graph, right? So I just need this library as well for my normalization function, right? So to plot my graph, I'm going to use I'm using matplotlib and this function as well, this package, pylab, right? So you can see it here. You can also get the mean values, the standard deviation value of that particular age array using this function, but I'm just going to run this now to show you my plot on the graph. So what this graph here simply means is that if we plot all the ages of the passengers on a graph plane, we are going to have their ages in this way. And to some extent, this is normalized. If we show without the histogram, you are going to see that it actually forms that bell-shaped curve that describes to us that a data is normalized. So right, our data is normalized, and if the data without the null values is normalized. So if we're replacing our null values, we should ensure that it also makes this data normalized as well. So to explain further, we would want to do like a categorization of all the ages in that data set. So I'm going to use a function called cut, which breaks my ages into 10 different bands. The quantile function also does this for you, but quantile breaks it into 5 different parts. I actually want more precision, so I did 10. So if we break into 10 different parts, we can see that we have 54 passengers that are 0 to 8 years old, 46 that are 8 to 16 years old, and so on and so forth, right? You can also use the qcut function, but the qcut function works by breaking the ages of your passengers into equal buckets. Okay. Let's run this again. Right, so it actually works by breaking. You can see you have like almost similar grouping of the ages of your passenger. So the best function I prefer to use in this case is the cut function, not the qcut. You might need the qcut for some other kind of analysis. That's why I decided to explain the difference between cut and qcut here. Okay, so now we also want to see the mean value and the standard deviation value and the median value of our age data set. So the mean age is 30, the standard deviation age is 15, and the median age is 28. So you can see the mean and the median, they are very close to each other. That's why our data is actually standardized, right? So now the next aim is to replace our missing data, and that's what we are working towards now. So I only ran this to confirm that we have 0 to 8, anything less than 8. So this is actually 54. Right, so I'm going to jump here now. And then, okay, so here, we then decided to get all the ages that are of null value into an array. So if we run this equation now, it's going to show you all the ages and indexes that are of null value. Right, so you can see record 5 as null age, record 17 null age, and so on and so forth. So for me to replace this missing value, what I need to use is this record number, right? Okay, so to obtain the record number, what I did was to get it into an array, right? This will automatically take an array variable. So to get the index, I then use this function to get the index into an array. So I call that age null list. So to confirm that, if I run this, you can see I have just the indexes alone, right? So I'll now need to run a loop. A loop is just a continuous function, kind of, that replaces each of these records, each of this row, because I'm not replacing all the rows. So I need to run a loop to actually get the actual ones and replace the loop. So I have the loop here. This is my age null list, which I read in the previous cell. So I have the loop. So for every value in this age null list, perform this function. Now, I decided to replace my ages categorically because I didn't want to use just one age value. If I use the mean value alone, so let's go back to our histogram. Right, so looking at this histogram, our mean age is age 30, right? So if I add, and I have like 157 missing ages. So if I add if I make all the missing 157 ages, if I make them 30, my distribution will become very steep. Steep in the sense that just this 30 alone will shoot up. Every other values will then remain very low. But looking at this histogram, I can see a stepwise declination towards 70, which is fair. And I can see a sharp rising towards 30, right, which is fair as well. But because I don't want a steep shape of my normalization value, I decided to stagger my null values replacement. So that's what I did here within the loop. Okay, so within the loop, what I did was to allocate a random age for different bands. So between 40 and 80. Okay, sorry, this should, yeah, this is not what I use. This is what I actually, so this is less than 20, this 20 to 40, and then this is 40 to 60. Oh, okay, no. This count is actually the count on the various indexes here. So if we run the indexes, we are going to have our values, right? So I want more ages within this range. So here, I'm going to make it to have the bulk of my values. So 40 to 120. Let me make this 100 to 80 rather. Then this 80 to 120. Right. Okay, so what I did here was just to stagger the values for my ages. So I'm going to run this now and we'll have our values. Oh, okay. So the random is also from a random package, which we need to import. Let me import that quickly. So import random. Okay, nice. So you can ignore this. This is just telling you to optimize your loop. So now if we run this now, we would notice that we no longer have any missing age value. You can see. Oh, okay. We still have a few missing values. So I'm just going to run this again. Less than, okay, let me replace you by 200. We still have a few missing age values. We can just replace that. So I'm going to just assign the remaining missing age values. I can just assign that to my mean. So I'll say where this is null, assign to, give the remaining values, give it 30. So, okay, hold on. Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, so I want for age alone, age. Okay, so for this remaining values, just assign to 30, which is my average age. Right, so if I do this now, I should not have any missing value again. Oh, okay. We didn't assign that to. Okay, so we also want to check missing values on our cabin. We have like 687 missing values. We want to check the values that are available. You can also do unique on this, right? So for cabin is actually telling us the sitting position of each passenger. So since we have more of unique values in cabin, we consider it not necessary. So if we run this now, you are going to see, right? So we have 204 values available and 687 records missing, right? So that's that for cabin. Then for embarked, we have just 2 missing values as null, and we have 3 unique values. So the whole essence is that you need to observe each of the variables, right? So in this case, for missing values, we are just going to replace it with S, because S actually has the highest, is the mode for embarked. Right, so let me run this now and see what my data looks like. So everything is fine. I'm going to drop some columns. I'm going to drop cabin because I don't need that information. I've taken cabin out. I'm also going to check for tickets. Ticket information is almost like my unique ID information. There are 681 unique ticket records, so I'm not going to use that as well. So I'm going to drop it as well. Let's also check for sex. So sex comes as male, female, which we have seen earlier. So we can convert this into integers so that it can be used in our algorithm. I mean, in our logistic regression model. So we've done that here. So if I run this now, you're going to see that sex will show as 0 and 1. Right, so you can see male, female showing as 0 and 1. Then here we are also changing embarked, which is also in category as integers. So if we run this now, instead of having SC and the other one, we are going to have 0, 1, and 2. So you can see we have changed it into the index information. Then here we are dropping passenger ID and cabin column. We don't need that. So now let's plot the correlation function for our data set. Right, so This shows us the significance of each of the columns to each other. I might just be interested in the survive column alone. So I'm just going to do this, survive. Right. So, of course, the correlation of survive to itself is a perfect one, right? And then for all other variables in that data set, you can see their correlation. You can see that the most important variable is sex. So whether male or female determines if they survived, right? Then another very important variable is age. Age is also significant. The fair also is very significant. And every other variable here is actually significant. So we are going to feed everything into our model. Right, so this is the model we are going to run, logistic regression. We will use logistic regression for classification, right? So unlike linear regression for numeric values, so we are using logistic regression. We need to split our train data into a test and split record. So we do this. So you need to assign your dependent and independent variables separately. So this is your survive for your independent variable, and then the rest of the variables for your independent variables. So we run, then we run this as well to split the records. Then we simply call the logistic regression on our data to fit the record. So okay, is that age that is still giving us issues? So let's sort it out now. Don't know why the age is not. Okay, so because your data contains null values, then it is not going to run on the model. So let's go back to, we are going to rerun the model. So let's come back here. So for give me age is null equals false. So I still have, okay, right, null. Okay, so I still have a couple that are false. So let's see their actual values using this boolean on age. So give me for age column only, right? Okay. Oh, so is null equals true rather. So I still have, let's count on this. For series, you are going to use length, len. Okay, so I have 17 of them. Right, so I think I know what to do here now. So I'm going to say where I have age is null. Assign the value. Oh, okay, it's a float value. So assign 30.0. Okay, let's see. Right. So on my next cell, let me check if I still have any knowledge. Run. Okay. For index 8882719. Okay, let's go back here and replace our null edge. If we can replace directly like that, or is it with values? Nope. Okay, let's do this. Dot lock row index and column index. Um, oh, okay, I know why. We need to use the loop. So we are going to go back to our loop.
I don't know. I tried mine.
Okay, can you
And
speak up louder? I can't really hear.
yeah, I tried in my own and it gave me false. I don't know, false or true.
At what point?
The fixing of
The edges, right?
the edges, yes.
So it doesn't allow us to do a fix like that except we run a loop. That's what that warning error is giving us. So, and I don't understand why that loop I ran did not run through completely. I'm going back to that loop now. Okay, yeah. So we need to loop through all the values, right, to ensure that it's replacing just the null records. Okay, so I have all the values here. I'm going to rerun this. Okay, for the sake of I'm just going to change everything to a random value between 16 and 47. Right, just for us to get away with this. So K in this, give me the index replaced with this. So there's no, yeah. Right, so let's run this now and see. Mhm. 874. So I don't have any missing edge anymore. So what's happening? Right here. Okay. So I no longer have any missing edge. Right. So I should get right. So here, if I check the edge, no edge is missing anymore. So, so if I check the info, Titanic edge is not blah blah blah. This should be fine too. Oh, okay, now it's fixed. So you can see I no longer have any missing edge. All my edge is fixed. You need to run it through a loop before it will run. So now I'm going to go back to my model and complete on the model. You can't run the model on missing data. It's not going to run. So let's just rerun the model again, then fit. Right, so we have fit our model to our train and test data. Now we need to check the model on our test data and print the accuracy. So you can see our accuracy is 80%. This accuracy is actually lesser than what I got previously because I was able to stagger the data back then on age. For some weird reasons, it's not working now. So I just needed to use a general age value, which is the mean score of the age, right? So of course, the accuracy will be lower because that does not really mimic a real life data. If you are saying almost everybody is 30 years of age within that crash, right? So this is just a simple prediction model on regression, logistic regression to show us how to clean data and then apply the model on the data. So logistic regression actually uses concepts of probability. The details of all that statistics that we learned at the beginning of the course is already embedded into the algorithm. You don't need to know the details. You just need to understand how it works so that when you come up with the score, you can make some sense from it. So that's that about logistic regression. Because of time, I'm going to move on to the remaining parts of the slides. Right, so this is how to get on Kaggle competition, get data, and work on the data. Sometimes it takes a while to get this, get up to speed, but is worth it. It helps you to have a feel of working with data so that when you need to work on real life projects, it becomes easier to scale through. Then it also helps you to get familiar with some of the functions and packages you need from Python to work on data. And 80% accuracy is not bad, right? If the model you've predicted worked on new data and got 80%, that is very, very fair. So that's that on working on cargo site competition data. I would enjoin you to also try this data out. I'm going to clean up this notebook and send it to us maybe by the end of today or tomorrow. Thank you. Let's go back to, so that's that for the explanation on this. Let me go back to my slide to cover up on what next. Okay, great. So we are welcome back to the slides. So that's that on logistic regression on a kaggle competition project. There are many much more interesting projects as well from kaggle and from many competition sites, which I'm going to show us today. So I said, for you to own your skills in IT or tech industry, you just need to keep getting familiar and keep um, practicing. So practicing is just the best way of remembering and applying all the knowledge we have learned within this 16 classes experience. And data is no longer an excuse. Getting on projects is not an excuse. There are many projects that are available on competition sites that actually mimics real life experience. So I am advising that you can get on any of the competition sites. I've listed some on the screen for you, like Zindi. Zindi is like the African version of Kaggle, right? So they have a lot of African real life data. There are even some data from various countries in Africa, like I've worked on one before from Kenya, another one from Western Cape, South Africa. So there are interesting competitions here. You also have driven data and analytics, VDA, and many more. Then, very important, you can also get on boot camps. Boot camps, there's no age range in boot camps, so don't see that, oh, they are just young kids there and all that. No. I always enjoy the boot camp experience, and it's always like, just time dedicated to learning stuff, technical stuff, and also non-technical stuff, and also networking, right? So boot camps could be like 24 hours, 2 days, 3 days, depending on the organizers and what they intend to achieve. So opportunities for boot camps, and many are even hybrid now. So you can get on them. If you check on my LinkedIn post, there is a popular boot camp in Nigeria going on, but it's hybrid. So you can decide to register for it. Data Science Nigeria Bootcamp is yearly, and I've been a great beneficiary from this bootcamp, from networks and projects and things that we've achieved in the camp. Then conferences as well, then you can as well make your contributions on articles. So projects that you worked on as well, you can translate into abstracts and articles that you can submit at conferences. You can join my YouTube channel as well. Please follow, please like and share my videos. I've had a lot of viewers, but I need more likes and shares as well, right? Then you can check my social handle for more information. Then if in case you prefer to work on cleaned data, right, you can check on various websites for data that are cleaned. Like the US regional sales that we used in this class is a cleaned data, simple data actually from data.world. They have many data as well that mimic real life information that are available in data.world. You can also get World Bank data from their data bank, this website. You also have World Trade Organization data available. So the idea about data now is to make data open source. The open source data does not mean that they are releasing their clients or customers' data, but this data is usually encrypted or it has been changed into a different value, right? But the idea is just to mimic real life situations. So you can get many data from all these various sites and you can practice with them. Right, so another way to get continued with these things you've learned in this course is also to have a certification path. So having a certification path will help you achieve more knowledge, more focused knowledge, and also help you get certified. Now, the need for focused knowledge is highly important. Why? Because data science, AI is highly overrated. But you need to have a niche and focus on how what you want to achieve with data science or with analytics. So it's very broad, and it's also industry-wide across various domains. So you know your domain, you know your interests, and then you just need to focus on what you would want to use data analytics concepts and knowledge to achieve. Now, I'm actually saying that you should consider DASCA because DASCA is more of industry-wide specific. So it trains you on the general and also helps you to understand how to apply and work with data in various domains. So I've actually done that exam. I'm a senior data analyst certified DASCA member, and also um, advising people or enjoining people to also get on DASCA. So if you want to read my review on this DASCA certification, you can check up on this URL to see my review on the DASCA certification on LinkedIn. Right, so this is the review actually. It actually summarizes, I wrote this review like more than a year ago, and it summarizes my experience in writing DASCA. I've written many other certifications, many other tech certifications before now, but DASCA actually stands out. Right, so this is the reason, this is the edge that DASCA has over many other certification data science in the field. And just like I said, it has a lot of quality and review. So when you register for the exam, you have a space of like 3 to 6 months to go through all the various modules, self-paced actually, but they have various projects with which you can practice, and those projects you just connect virtually to do them, right? So you can learn from the comfort of your own, and if you need more personalized training, that's where I come in. I can do personalized training on DASCA as well, and it will help you to, get much more determined, right, in learning when you are preparing towards an exam. So I'm actually, trying to get more people to experience the DASCA exam and modules, and as well do the exam. So if you want to know more about what we are doing or intend doing, you can visit our own website as well. So we fashioned our name after DASCA because we are interested in getting people to do DASCA and to establish their career in data science in a systematic and skill-based way, right? So for many people that are looking forward to, how do I do a career change into AI or data science or the rest of that? I will advise that to go through the steps that we're promoting, and the step is acquire this free training exercise with us. This is the first cohort, and we are going to do more. Then register for DASCA exam and prepare for the certifying exams with us. Then next thing, you get DASCA certified, and you are a hot cake in the market. Right, so that's all that I have for today's class and conclusion. I hope I've been able to answer the various questions you had on your mind before which you joined this course, and I hope you've been able to gain one or two things from participating in this course. Thank you so much for staying through all the 16 classes, and I'm really glad to continue or have more engagement with you after now. Thank you. Bye for now.